Well, it's a fight that could never happen again. For the first time in history, we have got two undefeated heavyweight champions of the world. Muhammad Ali, never beaten, a 79% knockout record, deposed of his title by virtue of his beliefs. Joe Frazier, undefeated, a 79% knockout record, holding the official title, even though each man is getting $2,500,000 or approximately $900,000 net.
It'll be seen at 9:30 here in Dallas at the State Fair Music Hall and also the Fair Park Coliseum. Tickets are $12.50. Are tickets higher in other areas?
In London, for example, they charge £13, which is the equivalent of $30, and all 100,000 seats were sold. Makes it even more interesting is the fact that they're going to get the telecast by Telstar at 4 a.m. in the morning. So part of the event and part of the ticket is a champagne breakfast with sausage and eggs, and that'll start at 2 a.m. and it's black tie. You must have a black tie or you can't come to the fight. We've put together a 20-minute pre-fight film that will be shown on closed-circuit telecast 25 minutes before fight time. And then 5 minutes before fight time, Muhammad Ali will go to the safe in his dressing room, open up the safe, and take out an envelope that says, Muhammad Ali predicts. And he'll open up and he'll predict on closed-circuit television when he will win the fight.
Dallas has given itself a slogan, the City of Excellence, and it's become pretty widely known by that slogan. But now it's been given a new designation, and this one by impartial judges. Look magazine has named Dallas one of 11 All-American cities in the issue which hit the newsstands today. This designation is a particular honor to Mayor Erik Jonsson and other city officials who took part in a ceremony today raising the All-America City flag above the City Hall.
The statement of our position, which the judges based their decision on in our favor, was that we had established a goals program in which, for the first time to our knowledge anywhere, the people had been invited in a completely democratic process to establish their own goals and say what kind of a city they wanted Dallas to be in the future, what things they needed and desired, and within the bounds of the possibility of reaching an attainable ideal, to say to us that they were willing to pay the prices that inevitably would be asked for achieving them.
Fort Worth in 1963 was designated an All-America City, and the Executive Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce, Ernest Larmer, says that it is quite an honor.
Jay, the greatest value, in our opinion, for the city of Fort Worth on receiving the All-America City Award is an intangible value in that it had a tremendous effect on the attitude of the citizens of our community. They became proud of their city. They became receptive to improving all facets of the community because they took it to heart that we do have an All-America City here.
Winning a contest from Look magazine or designating yourself as a city of excellence are not the things that make a city a good place to live. Mayor Erik Jonsson pointed out that it is the people getting involved through Goals for Dallas that helps make Dallas a city of excellence or an all-American city. It's also pointed out that it's going to be up to the people to continue to work for improving the quality of life here, to continue this as a city of excellence or an all-American city. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Mineral wells will still be here 2 years from now when Fort Wolters has been phased out as an Army helicopter training center. The question is, how much impact will the closing have on the city? Various civic leaders have differing ideas. Marshall Hamilton of the Mineral Wells Chamber of Commerce Military Affairs Committee says that the Pentagon decision to close Fort Wolters was erroneous, that municipal bonds were sold and capital improvements were made on the basis of Army representations that the base was permanent. One study conducted by the Chamber indicates that over 60% of personal income in Palo Pinto County is derived from the base. The study also indicates that in Parker County next door, over 30% of personal income is dependent on Fort Wolters. Despite these figures, Mineral Wells City Manager Joe Mickey says his people will somehow cope.
The community, I think, is adjusting to this shock that we're in at this point. But I think basically we realize that this has always been a possibility, and while it was one of shock, it's not one of surprise. It's one that we've lived with, and knowing that this is always a possible event that could happen in Mineral Wells, and we've taken this into account the last several years.
But the real problem is faced by the small businessman, the merchant who derives the greater part of his business from his military clientele.
Well, I'm sure you're going to find this to be said any place you go. It's just the end of it. It's going to ruin the whole economy of Mineral Wells. There's no other activity here to keep us, help us keep the economy going in Mineral Wells if they close this base. And unlike a lot of the other businessmen in Mineral Wells, we've counted on the military support here and done everything in our power to fight this thing and keep the base going, because we have excellent weather and excellent facilities here in Mineral Wells for the boys to fly, and we can't understand why that they would jeopardize such a beautiful base plus the weather conditions and move it to Alabama unless there's some strong politicking going on in Alabama and the White House.
So things are going to change in Mineral Wells. The city's mayor, Ellis White, told me that the closing could provide an impetus for new permanent business to move into the area because of the available labor force and the available space. But even Mr. White admitted that it's going to be an uncertain future for a few years. The question that keeps arising is, will the government really save enough money by moving the base to Fort Rucker, Alabama, to make the move worthwhile? Well, now, that's a question based on Southern political influence in Washington, so we may never really know the answer. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Wolters, Texas.
Excuse me, sir. Would you sign this petition? It's against, got a petition against the proposed increases in college tuitions. We've got a petition. Excuse me, sir. We've got a petition against the proposed increases in tuition, and we'd like you to sign it. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Hello, Mark. Excuse me. How's the reaction been so far?
Pretty good. We've gotten quite a few people to sign these.
Out of, say, every 10 that come by, how many would you say are signing?
About 6 or 7.
Do you think it's really running that high?
Yes, I do.
How do you think the reaction will be the rest of this day?
I think it will get better as people start realizing that there's more of us around the city.
What are you going to do with the petitions when you're through?
Well, next Thursday we're taking them down to Mike McCool down in Austin, and we're going to give them to him.
All right, thank you very much. All right, the object is to try to influence the Texas legislature to do away with those tuition hikes that are upon them. The college students, of course, would rather not have this. We find a number of people on the street who would rather not have it, but after all, somebody, somehow, has to pay. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
The woman plays an important part in distributive education, just as the man does. She's interested in selling and marketing and retailing today, being able to do something different besides staying at home, being a housewife.
The trend across our nation today is for more women to be working and in jobs that heretofore they have not held. Does this go along with the same theory in distributive education?
Yes, I believe it does. Women are getting out more. They are working more. Now you find that mostly in families and things, you'll find the man and the wife both work to help to have the luxuries and things that they'd like to have.
A group of disappointed men filed out of this room at Southwestern Medical School this morning. The reason for the disappointment? The bids they were to submit today for Phase 1 expansion program at the school will not be accepted.
Yesterday, in the late afternoon, the university system was advised by the Regional Office of Department of Health, Education, and Welfare that pending an official interpretation of the President's proclamation of February the 23rd, pending an official interpretation of that proclamation, the regional office advised the university system that it could not receive and open bids today as scheduled.
Now these fellows are champions from their regional districts. Let's start them off right now with a big hand for this final round.
We feel on the surface our President's proclamation is quite easy to understand, and we don't see that it should cause a postponement of bids. We've seen other government projects that have been canceled, postponed indefinitely. But this job appeared to be going on smoothly until we see the phone calls last night saying that bids would not be received today.